ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੁਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। Thank you Sangat Ji once again for joining the Sunday Vichar session at Sangat of the Divine Light. And like my brother Zakaria said in the introduction, let's really focus, let's really tune into that mantra, whichever mantra you recite. Throughout the discourse, as you're listening to the words of the discourse, allow your heart, allow your mind to be in tune to that mantra. Have it circulating throughout you and throughout the discourse. And we're very blessed to be in the Sangat today. Gurbani says that these moments in the Sangat come through great good fortune, and each and every one of us in this forum today have been picked by the divine themselves to attend. That in this life we are all looking for some sort of peace, some sort of inner tranquility. And the bestower of this peace, this inner tranquility, this inner peace is the divine and the divine only. So before we jump into today's discourse, today's reflections, let's just take a moment to beg the divine that they bless us with this inner peace that we're all searching for. So let's take that moment now. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So Sangat Ji, in spirituality, on one side, it states that our effort is paramount and that our effort is important. And then on the other side, it says that nothing is achieved with our effort. And we touched upon this last week in Flowing Rivers Discourse. And our brother mentioned that Gurbani says this is to tread on the impossible path. The path of spirituality is referred to as the impossible path. Then after the discourse, we spent some time and we started to discuss what this actually meant. So imagine a funnel. This funnel represents the path. And the closer you get to the end of the funnel, the narrower it becomes, meaning that the tougher the path becomes. And once you get to the other side of this funnel, liberation awaits. A complete merging with the divine exists. And now imagine you've travelled the entire length of this funnel, through its ups and downs, through the lefts and rights, just to find out that the tunnel, at the end of the funnel, is sealed. It's impossible to get out. And the only way out of this funnel is if there was someone to create an opening. If someone was to create an opening, this is the only way we could get out of this impossible exit. So if someone created an opening on the other side, what we would call the impossible exit would become possible. And the one who creates this opening is the divine. So we can travel the whole length of this funnel, meaning we can walk the entire length of this spiritual path, but until someone creates that opening, meaning the divine, through their kirpa, through their blessings, this journey will remain incomplete. And this is why we refer to it, or why Gurbani refers to it as the impossible path. Because ultimately, only the divine determines whether we exit or not. However, to exit, we have to be at the end. Meaning we have to put the work in. We have to put the hours in. We have to interrogate our mind. We have to battle every day. And then we get to the end and hope that the divine creates this opening. So Pauri 32 follows on from this concept, and it outlines both parts of this impossible path. So before we jump into the discourse, let's listen to the recitation of the 32nd Pauri of Japjji Sahib. Satnam Sri Vaheguru Ji, Ek Duji Bao Lakh Hoye, Lakh Hovah Lakh Vees, Lakh Lakh Geda Akhiya Hai, Ek Naam Jagdish, Et Rahe Pat Pavadiya, Chadiya Hoye Ekis, Sona Galla Akas Ki, Kita Ai Rees, Nanak Nadari Paiya, Kudi Kuda Thees, Sona Galla Akas Ki, Kita Ai Rees, Nanak Nadari Paiya, Kudi Kuda Thees. So, the two paths of this impossible path. The two parts. And the first part is the effort. As those who truly start to walk this path, Sangatji, the first thing they do is submit. A submission occurs. The submission of their intellect. The submission of their way of thinking. And they adopt the way of thinking that has been presented to them by their Guru, by their spiritual teacher. And for the Sikhs, this is the Guru Granth Sahib. For the Muslims, this is the Quran. For Christians, the Bible. For Hindus, the Gita. And they take these teachings on and they spend time with the mantra, repeating the name of the divine over and over and over. And over time, this authentic mantra starts doing its job by cleaning the mind, wiping away their karmas, to the point where the inner house becomes clean and it becomes ready for the mantra to settle and work its magic. So Sangatji, in life, any action, any thought that we do creates a karma. It will create a good karma or it will create a bad karma. And you can imagine this to be like a bank account. Whenever you help someone out, the bank account for your good karma stocks up. And whenever you slander someone or gossip about someone, your other bank account is stocked. And then over life, we're adding to each bank account one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. But there's only one action that we can do which wipes karma, and that is to recite the mantra, to contemplate on the name of the Lord. This is the one action that starts to clean and wipe our karma. And once we have cleaned the inside of our mind, it is at this point where that inner pull, that inner desire manifests, and it calls us to do more and more Simran, more meditation, more Seva. And to get to this stage alone, it takes an immense amount of effort to wipe away all those previous karmas, those karmas that we have been building and building and building over lifetimes and lifetimes. I want you to imagine this. You open the door of a room that hasn't been opened for years and years. And as you open the door, the air that is being pushed into the room causes a storm of dust to circulate the room. And you can barely see the walls, you can barely see the furniture, you can't really see the floor. But once that dust settles, you get a cloth and you start to wipe down the tables, you start to wipe down the floor, only to be greeted with another layer of thick dust. And you do this several times. You use your cloth, you clean, you come back, there's another layer of dust there, you do it again, another layer of dust. And each time you come back, you clean and there's another layer of dust. So you look around and all you can see is dust particles floating around in the air. You look around and you see a window. You go to the window, you open the window and you allow that dust to escape the room. The dust in this case, Sangatji, represents our desires. And as long as we have and we invest our mental energy into these desires, the Naam, the Shabad will not settle and will not do its job. Gurbani often says the words Panda Toy. And this essentially, Panda means a vessel, Toy means to clean. So this vessel of this mind, this body, we have to clean it first. And only then, once it's clean, can we put something else in there. And these desires that I talk about, Sangatji, they're not those desires that are pushing us forward, are pushing us for personal growth, like thinking about excelling in your career, thinking about doing some more seva or growing a business. These are the random expectations and everyday desires that contribute absolutely nothing to our life. If anything, they take away from us. Slandering, gossiping, judging. Spend no time thinking about these and contemplating these. And once you've embedded this practice, like opening that window, the dust will start to escape and the Shabad will start to work its magic. But this is our state of mind. Myself being the biggest culprit, we clean the mind through doing Simran, through doing Seva, through meditation, but then we pollute ourselves again. We do Seva, we do Simran, we pollute ourselves again. We're in this cycle, but we're not clearing out the junk that already exists. And on top of that, we keep adding to it. And then Gurbani gives this analogy about the elephant. So the elephant bathes, and immediately after, it covers itself again with mud and dirt. And this is the current condition of our mind. And this cycle of cleaning and polluting not only lasts years, but it can last lifetimes. And I guess this is why we're sitting here, because we haven't been able to break that cycle. And then on top of that, we then start to question the divine. We feel stagnant in our spirituality. And we start questioning, why is this? Why are we stagnant? Why aren't we moving forward? So in the early stages, you're trying to meditate, but on top of that, you have your mind that's forcing you the other way. You start questioning everything. You're questioning why you're meditating, what the purpose is, etc., etc. So in this stage of chanting, you're basically chanting with faith and no faith at the same time. You're getting pulled left, right, centre. And eventually, such is the strength of Maya and the slyness of Maya and its foot soldiers, you slowly start to regress and fall back to your old ways. And this itself, Sangatji, comes with its own challenges. Guilt, self-doubt, lack of self-esteem, anxiety, sadness, frustration, low energy. So Maya comes with a full army and a full armory. So what can we do? What can we do in return? Well, if we want to have any chance to win the war against Maya, we must also come prepared. We must also turn up with an army. And what is this army? This is the army of Sadhu Sangat, the company of the pious, the company of the saints, the company of those who are facing the divine and embed the teachings of the Gurus into their life. And when we tread this path with the Sadhu Sangat as your brethren, as your support, the hard work you do in the early stages won't be looted by the foot soldiers of Maya. And subsequently, that inner pull, that inner desire to meditate and meet the divine will start to manifest. And just on a side note, Sangatji, Maya wants us to feel isolated. Maya wants us to feel all those negative emotions that I mentioned earlier. So Sangatji, do not isolate yourself. No matter what you've done in the past, keep turning up to the Sangat. Keep turning up to the Sangat. Keep turning up to the Sangat. Be unapologetic about it. Disconnect your true self from your feelings and your thoughts. These feelings are not you. These thoughts are not you. Because you are the divine. Gurbani says, Man tu jot swarup hai, apna mool pachan. O my mind, you are the form of the divine. Recognize your own origin. Man tu jot swarup hai. And this is the aim of life, really, to bring that realization and understand what we really are. So, connect with the Sadhu Sangat. Don't isolate yourself. Share your experiences with the Sadhu Sangat. Listen to what they have to say in return. Listen to what the Guru has to say and then change. Share, listen, change, repeat. Share, listen, change, repeat. So with the support of the Sadhu Sangat, we can achieve this inner pull towards the divine, despite everything and everyone pulling us the other way. And Bhagat Faridji were once sitting underneath a tree in deep meditation, when one of their neighbours approached them and said, "You're a middle-aged man, you've wasted all of your life contemplating on the Quran, sitting in meditation. You haven't even seen the world. You haven't experienced the thrills of life. Your whole life will pass away just sitting here doing nothing." This guy is saying, what are you doing in the early hours of the morning when you're waking up? When you're sitting there with your eyes closed, what are you looking for? There's not even anything there. He says to Faridji, forget this, live your life and enjoy. And to this, Faridji says, Farida Sakar Khand Nevat Gud Makyo Manja Dud Sabbe Vastu Mittiyan Rab Na Pujan Tud. Bhagat Faridji say sugar cane, candy, sugar, molasses, honey and buffalo milk, all of these things, sabbe vastu mittiyan, all of these things seem sweet. But Rab na pujan tud, but they are nothing compared to the divine, compared to the mantra, compared to that divine love. So Faridji replies to this guy and say, there definitely is something on this path, to the extent where all of these worldly pleasures you talk about become tasteless. And what we have to realise, Sangatji, this sweetness that Bhagat Faridji talks about is revealed to us in glimpses. Like lightning, it sparks temporarily, but within that strike, it lights up all of the surroundings with an intense glow. And then it vanishes. And if this lightning was to continuously glow for several minutes, there will be utter chaos. Things will start to burn, some may get injured, some may become blind. And in the same way, Sangatji, the Guru only gives to us that which we can handle. It's like it's drip fed to us, little by little, little by little. But if the Guru wants, they can give everything to us straight away. But we wouldn't be able to handle that. Like we talk about the vessel has to be prepared, it has to be cleaned so that we can receive something without it becoming ruined. So everything up until the end, Sangatji, is just a preparation. So we can handle these blessings, so we can handle this power which spirituality and the mantra gives to us and the Guru gives to us. And those saints are fully connected to the divine. Their words that they speak become the reality. They become true. Guru Arjan Dev Ji in Sukhmani Sahib says, Sat Bachana Sadhu Upadesa. True are the words and true are the teachings of the saints. And there are many stories, there are many anecdotes from people that have experienced this in their personal lives. And if you imagine, if these saints hadn't practiced on restraint, on slander and gossip, all of their words will become true and it will be utter chaos. This is why we have to first prepare our mind, prepare our body slowly, 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 and then we receive that sweetness. We receive that desire to do more and more Simran. It's like the state of a drug addict. First, they'll have maybe one pill. And then it doubles. They have 2, then 4. It doubles and doubles and doubles. Then eventually it's such a state where that's the only thing they live for. The doctors, their friends and family around them telling them to stop, telling them to take medication, but they don't want any of that. All they want is their next fix. They just want that one pill again, that one drug again. And they want it more than their life. They will accept death, but they will just want that next fix. And similarly, this is the state of the spiritualist, the true spiritualist. They start doing Simran slowly, slowly, slowly. Then that pull intensifies, intensifies, intensifies until that's all they want. The mantra, the shabad becomes more than their life. So let's return back to the Pauri. Guru Nanak Dev Ji say, Ek duji bao lakh ho hai, lakh ho vah lakh visa. Lakh lakh geda akhiya hai, ek naam jagdish. Ek duji bao lakh ho hai. The one tongue I had, if that turns into 100,000 tongues, lakh ho hai, lakh vis. And then this 100,000 was then multiplied 20 times more. So 100,000 times by 20, 2 million. If I had 2 million tongues, lakh lakh geda akhiya hai, ek naam jagdish. All I would do is repeat the name of the divine, the name of the Lord of the universe, hundreds of thousands of times. And this is like that analogy of the drug addict, where all they want is that next fix. And these lines show us the intense love and the intense pull to the divine that the spiritualist experiences. Where all they want to do is recite that mantra, recite the name of the divine. And Gurbani says that there is actually a stage in spirituality, on this spiritual path, where every pore, every hair becomes a tongue. And the vibration of the mantra is echoed through each and every one of your pores, each and every one of your hairs. Gurmukh Roma Roma Hartyava. The Gurmukh, that person who adopts the way of the Guru, adopts the way of the saints, meditates on the Lord with each and every hair of their body. But this is the state of the divine lover, Sangatji. But like we discussed earlier, we have to start from the bottom and work our way up. This is what Guru Nanak Dev Ji are alluding to in the next line. Etara hai pat pavadiya chadiye hoye ekisa. Etara hai pat pavadiya. So in Punjabi you can say era. This path, pat can translate to pati. So the analogy in Sikhi, it pops up quite often, and it's about the divine being the one husband and all the other beings, all the other souls as the wife. So in this case, the divine has been referred to as the husband Lord. Etara pat, as in pati in Punjabi. Etara hai pat pavadiya. Pavadiya translates to a ladder or a step. Chadiye hoye ekis. Chadiye, to climb. And through climbing this ladder of divinity to our divine, we become one with the divine, we merge. So along this path to our husband Lord, we climb the steps of the ladder and come to merge with him. The path of the divine consists of this ladder that we must climb. And climbing this one rung at a time, one step at a time. And through this we can merge with the divine. So one step at a time. So really, Guru Nanak Dev Ji have laid out the path of spirituality here. They've given us the blueprint, just in this body alone. The first two lines of Ek Duji Baulak Hoye, Lak Hove, Lak Vis. They're instructing us to chant the mantra relentlessly. Over and over again, repetition, over and over again. But like we discussed, the early stages of chanting the mantra are tasteless. And we won't experience that sweetness that Faridji talks about straight away. It takes time, but step by step we can climb this divine ladder. And merge with the divine. Sona galla akas ki kita airis. And hearing about the worlds and the universe that exists within us, even the creatures, even creatures like worms, they yearn to return home. And Sangatji, this is that inner yearning, that inner pull to the divine. But also, this is that desire that will arise from the Sangat. When you meet those divine souls and you listen to their words and apply them inwardly. And then that desire, that pull to the divine starts to arise. So the whole path is laid out here. Repetition of the mantra. And then through that we step one step at a time, we climb this divine ladder with the aid of the Sadh Sangat. So all of the lines in this body so far have been referring to the effort part of this impossible path. And now this last line is a reference to the grace, the other part of this path, impossible path. Nanak nadri paiya kudi kuda thees. Nanak nadri paiya. By his grace he is obtained. So like the funnel, we start the funnel, we can travel all the way to the end of the funnel, but until that opening is created, we'll be trapped in the funnel. So Nanak nadri paiya. It all comes from the nadar, from the grace. If we take the example of the divine ladder, we're climbing all the way to the top, but the divine has to bless us with this grace for us to merge completely. And until then, Kudi kuda thees, without this nadar, without this divine blessing, everyone around the world who's talking about this spiritual path are just talking from their own ego. Unlike those Sat Bachan from the saints that Guru Arjan Dev Ji talks about. Those saints have had the blessings of the divine, and that's why their words are true. But everyone else, until we get that nadar, all our words are false, they're fake. So Sangat Ji, in this Pauri, Guru Nanak Dev Ji have literally given us the blueprint for this spiritual path. Chant the mantra and climb one step at a time with the Sadh Sangat and the support of the Sadh Sangat. So Sangat Ji, this brings me to the end of Pauri 32. And if there's anything you can take from this, apart from chanting the mantra, is to use the support of the Sadh Sangat, because this is essential. We all make mistakes, we all fall off the path, but the Sadh Sangat is here to keep you on the straight and narrow, to keep you on that path to the divine. And it doesn't matter how many times we fall, how many times we make mistakes, as long as we keep turning up to the Sadh Sangat, asking these questions, we will continue to rise, and with the grace of the Guru, with the grace of the divine, we will achieve our goal of merging our souls together. So Sangat Ji, thank you for listening to this discourse. And just to finish off the discourse, so we can connect to that mantra, let's just spend 4 minutes or so until 10 to just reciting the Mool mantra. Ik oankar satnam karta purkh nirpao nirvair akal moorat ajuni sapang gur prasad jap ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਪੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਪੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਏਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਪੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਪੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਪੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਪੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ। ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ। ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਪੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ। ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ। ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਪੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ। ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਪੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, and forgive me for many mistakes.